right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on our Creative Aging Town Hall. As you're coming in, you'll see a poll on your screen. If you would just take a moment to answer those few questions, and we will begin shortly. If you're just joining us for the town hall, you'll see an intro poll on your screen. If you wouldn't mind taking a couple of seconds to answer those 3 questions, and then we will get started.
I don't see a poll on the screen.
It should be a pop-up window, so you might have to minimize your Zoom screen. If you have that full screen, you might have to minimize that to have the poll pop-up window show up.
I'm on. This is an iPad. I don't really see where I can.
Okay, it may not give you that option on the iPad application.
Okay.
It says there's 3 questions, but the submit button doesn't let you go to question number 2.
Oh.
You have to answer all of them and then it will let you submit it.
You have to scroll down.
Scroll down,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Got it. Didn't scroll. I was just putting submit. I thought that, sorry.
Thank you for the community support.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we're getting everyone's participation on that. Erica, I'll go ahead and get us started, and then if you want to end the poll here in just a minute, then we can see what the results of that are. So once again, thank you all for joining us today. I am Chandra Boyd, Deputy Director for the Oklahoma Arts Council. We are the official state agency for the support and development of the arts in Oklahoma. I am proud to work with our team to advance arts education initiatives across communities statewide. And I'm especially excited about the development of our new Creative Aging Initiative. This work is made possible through the Leveraging State Investments in Creative Aging program. It is led by the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies and Araha Philanthropies to advance state arts agencies' creative aging efforts. We are grateful for their support. I'd like to introduce the other Oklahoma Arts Council staff we have with us today. And real quickly, you all should see we're sharing our slides on the screen. If you click on the view button up in the top right-hand corner, you can adjust your settings to where you can see the speaker who's speaking or the full gallery on the side of your presentation, or you can do the standard presentation. So you can adjust that while we're speaking. But yeah, from the Oklahoma Arts Council staff, we have Arts Learning and Communities Director, Erica Wilhite. We have Grants and Programs Assistant, Heidi Costello, Arts Education Director, Jennifer Allen Barron, and Web and Publications Director, Scott Cowan, who's running everything beautifully behind the scenes. So thank you all. We are also thrilled to welcome Annie Montgomery and Galia Eden from Lifetime Arts, who will share more about their organization and the work we will be doing together in Oklahoma here in just a few moments. So just a bit of Zoom housekeeping. I mentioned the upper right-hand corner, and you can change your screen settings. While we're doing the presentation, if you wouldn't mind muting yourselves, and then we'll unmute at the end when we move into our questions and our breakout rooms. If you have questions at any time, there is a chat button located at the bottom of your screen, and we will be answering that, monitoring that, and answering that as we go along. So plug your questions in there and we'll either record or not record, we'll respond live in the chat, or we'll get back with you at the end when we do our questions. Okay, Scott, can we move to the next slide, please? You can see our agenda for the day. All right, so we will have an overview of our creative aging initiative that we're developing here at the Oklahoma Arts Council, and more information on how you can get involved in that initiative, including some upcoming trainings, as well as current grant opportunities for your creative aging projects. As I mentioned, we'll have time for questions before we head into our breakout rooms. Next slide, please. Before I turn it over to Erica, I just wanted to share that all of our grants, programs, and services here at the Oklahoma Arts Council are driven by our mission to lead, cultivate, and amplify the transformative power of the arts for all Oklahomans and their communities. And we could not fulfill our mission without dedicated folks like you all who have a passion for connecting people and communities through the arts. As you'll see, there's also a link to our website, arts.ok.gov, where you can find more information about the programs and services that we offer. So thank you for being here with us virtually today. And I will turn it over to Erica.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see so many of you here. I'm Erica Wilhite, and I am the Arts Learning and Communities Director. I do oversee this new program, Creative Aging, as well as the Arts and Military. So I see some familiar faces and names out there. Good to see you, and so many that I don't know yet. So this year we have embarked on a new endeavor, the Creative Aging Initiative. And it's our intention through this initiative to build capacity for sustainable creative aging programs in every part of Oklahoma. What is creative aging? So it can be defined as a national movement to advance understanding of the vital relationship between creative expression and quality of life for older adults. Creative aging is a term, a conceptual umbrella for all the different ways in which quality arts programming supports adults across the aging spectrum. So why is creative aging important? The word creativity comes from the Latin word creatus, which means to have grown. And as we age, we grow in knowledge and experience, so we should value what older adults contribute to each of us individually and to our communities. Creative aging is important because the arts enable us to communicate effectively within and between generations, making sense and reconciling life experiences, understanding and celebrating the present, and creating a legacy for the future. The arts also allow us to experiment without the fear of failing, to be challenged, and to succeed in learning new skills and discovering latent ones. Strengthening connections among older adults, family, friends, residents, and caregivers, the arts create a sense of community in which each person's contribution is respected. In sum, the arts enhance quality of life. So we recognize that as a truth here at our agency, but there is also research that supports this. A study led by Jean Cohen with the Center on Aging, Health, and Humanities at the George Washington University. I believe we're going to drop that study in the chat for you. But these results, they reveal strikingly positive differences between those involved in participatory art programs as compared to a very well-matched control group that was not. And in this study, they concluded that community-based arts programs run by professional artists have powerful, positive effects. They point to true health and promotion and disease prevention effects. And there is indeed a positive impact on maintaining independence for older adults and even on reducing dependency. So these findings could indicate that creative aging programs could impact the health systems that support older adults. And why is creative aging important now? Well, because now, more than ever, we need to be ready for the shifting demographics that are being predicted for the near future. People are living longer and healthier lives, and the number of adults are growing in society. So according to the Oklahoma State Plan on Aging, predictions show that by 2030, the populations of older Oklahomans is projected to increase by almost 30%, which is a growth rate that is 2 or 3 times faster than the rest of the population. And as the chart shows, by 2024, a steep increase in the 75 to 84 and 85 plus populations are expected to occur. This projected increase poses significant challenges, and we must be ready to address the growing needs of a growing population of older Oklahomans. And also predictions show that people are living longer and healthier lives, so we better be ready to provide that infrastructure to support that experience. So what are we doing now at the agency? Like I said, this is a new initiative. We are learning. So in order to learn the state of things, of creative aging, we're conducting an environmental scan of current services for older Oklahomans to determine the needs that are unique to Oklahomans. We're wanting to learn what access to services look like across our communities and identify the key areas of programmatic focus. We're also working to build a creative aging cohort, a group of practitioners. The work is already being done across the state, so we're learning who's doing the work, and we're hoping to build a network, a cohort of stakeholders of arts programs and aging service providers, municipalities, and other community organizations across the sectors. And we intend to engage the cohort in learning opportunities, such as this one coming up for teaching artists and organizations, the Creative Aging Foundation trainings. You'll see some dates there. We invite you to learn with us the best practices for program development and arts instructions through these trainings, facilitated by Lifetime Arts this spring. And today we're joined by Lifetime Arts, and we're going to hear from Annie Meek Montgomery, who's here to share you some more details about those trainings. Annie and her team have been working closely with us on this initiative. So Annie leads the design and delivery of Lifetime Arts professional development efforts. She's consulted on creative aging initiatives across several sectors to help individuals and organizations to build their capacity to implement and sustain creative aging programs. With 20 plus experience of working as a teaching artist and 15 years working in the field of creative aging, Annie instinctively works in community and partnership with every client to identify the needs of the organization and facilitates a strategy plan with them. And one that will lead each organization to a path forward of maximum growth and sustainability on their creative aging programs. Welcome, Annie. I'm handing the virtual mic to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Erica. And behind the scenes here, Galia, Eden, our virtual producer, will be running my slides and supporting our creative aging trainings. She's not presenting today, but I just wanted to acknowledge her help to help me and my single laptop. So I am so excited to be here in Oklahoma and working with the Oklahoma Arts Council. The whole team has just been phenomenal partners, and it's just been a real honor and pleasure getting to know all of you. And I'm so excited about your creative aging initiative and plans to come. I am from Missouri, your neighbor next door. I live in New York now, but I have a great affinity for all of our middle states and love for Oklahomans too. So thank you for having me today. Just a little bit about Lifetime Arts. We were established in 2008 as a service organization to really help develop the infrastructure for, at that time, which was a really emerging field of creative aging. And as arts professionals and as caregivers, our co-founders, Ed Friedman and Maura O'Malley, really saw a growing need to shift traditional senior programming from sort of a passive entertainment model to more engaged learning opportunities by promoting arts education specifically designed for older adults in community. Lifetime Arts works across the country with public libraries, with arts and cultural organizations, teaching artists, senior serving organizations, and the systems, institutions, and funders that support them, and specifically with lots and lots of arts councils and state arts agencies across the country. We provide training and professional development, just like we'll be doing in Oklahoma. And we also have a ton of online resources, which I'll mention in a little bit, that are free and available to all. We have technical assistance and consulting services. And we train teaching artists to work with older adults and senior serving organizations. And our goal really is to help community-based organizations deliver engaging participatory programs that really recognize older adults as creative and social learners. And part of the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies leveraging state investments in creative aging, that's a mouthful, we are supporting 20 different states, including Oklahoma, with their plans for really embedding creative aging arts education programs into their statewide arts education missions and their services for older adults. And so just to follow up specifically sort of our field of focus in creative aging, I want to dive down just a little bit into Lifetime Arts area of focus and what these trainings will specifically be about. So what is creative aging arts education? Well, we define this, and Erica started to tell you a little bit about this, as professionally led by teaching artists, instructional arts programs that build skills over time and across all arts discipline. So in short, it's very similar to arts education that younger students might have, but it's designed specifically for older adults. So creative aging is not just a concept, it's an emerging field in which varieties of organizations across the country are really starting to provide meaningful opportunities for creative expression through all of the performing arts. And these activities are based on scientific research that Erica mentioned that really have proved that it is crucial for positive aging, which is learning skills and building social connections. And so what are the two main components? And as Erica mentioned, Dr. Jean Cohen's study really identified that the most important components of creative arts education programs, no matter how it is delivered, whether it's in person or online or even other alternative formats, creative aging programs really need to include these two goals, which is developing mastery of an art form. Doesn't mean you're going to become Picasso, but it means that you will practice skills in a really in-depth way, moving towards mastery. You never know, there might be a Picasso in us. And also forming community through the art making experience. Put simply, did participants learn something new? And did they make a new friend in the process? And so some of the components that we work towards, this doesn't necessarily happen when you first begin. It's sort of the broad stroke goals, but these are some of the creative aging arts education components that we will be training on. So it is an arts class, visual performing, literary, or music, that is taught by professional, skilled teaching artists, skilled in the development of building a sequential arts curriculum. That is a paid professional arts educator, not a volunteer. The class, you're going to build towards getting to ideally 8 sessions held in sequential weeks, usually once a week. And why do we do this? Because it's sequential in nature. Skills will build over time. One skill will build upon the other, and learning and practicing the skills are key part of the components. Each class, especially in person, we really recommend 90 minutes minimum, which is a lot for some folks in older adult programming. It's a new concept. There is also always a planned culminating event that will be a celebration of work created over the 8+ weeks and will be shared with other community members. Now, this model of programming might be new for a lot of organizations that might serve older adults and may not even be typical for older adults themselves. Traditionally, older adult programming has really fantastically focused on health and wellness, exercises, yoga classes, for example, or often arts therapeutic programs for older adults, which there's some fantastic, incredible work happening, specifically programs really focused on folks with Alzheimer's or dementia. And traditionally, there's been a ton of drop-in programs, meaning people don't have to sign up. They can come or not come, and they might look like bingo, sing-along programs, maybe smaller craft projects. So in-depth art learning and making are becoming really more and more in demand, especially because the baby boomer generation are entering retirement age, and older adults are demanding more enriching education programs where they are challenged and have an opportunity to be art makers and learners and contributors. So Oklahoma is really heeding the call for higher quality learning and art making programs, and is working hard to make sure that the creative aging programs are more widely available and barrier free and accessible, with the ultimate goal of making creative aging programs part of the standard menu of services that are available to all Oklahoma older adults across the states. Bravo, it's a very exciting time. So training, what's this going to look like? So to support Oklahoma's vision for creative aging, Lifetime Arts will be providing remote training via Zoom. These trainings are going to be 6 hours of training, very experiential, very hands-on for 2 cohorts, teaching artists and community organizations. All of our trainings begin with the Creative Aging Foundations, where we present the current research on arts and aging. We explore our own inherent ageism and our own biases, which might impact our programming ultimately if we don't kind of dig into that and look at that a little bit. And we share our best practices across the United States in the field. Our teaching artist training will also have, in addition to the Creative Aging Foundations, will feature the examination and demonstration of best practices in designing skill-based sequential instructional lessons for older adult learners. And in addition, the course will focus on the importance of embedding intentional social engagement activities into the program and to the curricula. Teaching artists will be introduced to best practices to both in-person and in remote programming, and we will discuss ways to successfully partner with older adult communities. And for our community organizations, the second cohort will be a mix of a cohort of arts and cultural organizations, community organizations, and senior service organizations. In addition to the topics covered in the Creative Aging Foundation, the course will also focus on how to develop responsive programming that is inclusive, diverse, and equitable. We'll look at the planning, implementation, and sustainability of successful programming. And we'll also talk about developing impactful cross-sector and community partnerships to aid in sustainability. And we'll also talk about how to support teaching artists and the older adult students to deliver both in-person and remote programming. So it's going to be chock full of training and days, and we really look at our learners as co-learners with us. So while we always bring what we've disseminated and learned from the field of creative aging, we really create a learning cohort where we learn from one another in our trainings. And we can't wait to work with Oklahoma teaching artists and community organizations to learn about what they know and what they want to share as well. So we are so thrilled to be working with all of you, and we just wanted to just put out there, come seek us out. Lifetime Arts is a service organization. We are here to serve anyone interested in working with older adults through creative aging programs. Galia is going to put all of our contact information into the chat. The creative aging resource, by the way, is anything you'd ever want to know about creative aging. Case studies, interviews, documentation, evidence. It's all there on the Creative Aging resource. So please be sure to check that out if this is something that is striking an interest today. Thank you for having me. And I'll pass it back to Erica.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you so much. So I'm going to hand actually that virtual mic over to Heidi, who is going to talk to us a little bit about if you're thinking about projects now, how we could possibly collaborate beyond training. So handing it over to you, Heidi.
Thank you, Erica, and thank you, Annie. So yes, I was happy to see that in the poll we had quite a few different answers between how familiar you all are with our program. So I'll just keep it kind of brief, but we have many, one of our focuses that we get to do is focus on grant programming. And so that's one thing that I get to work on with our grants director, Thomas Tran. And so on the screen, you can see the list of different grant programs that we have, ranging from things that go all the way in the classroom to outside of the classroom to just all different sizes, and even partnership grants and emergency relief. So we've expanded our grant programs in the past few years to meet diverse needs in the state and also to respond to opportunities for growth and advancement. So on the screen, like I said, these are our current grants, and they all have their own individual and specific goals, eligibility criteria, and deadlines. You can find more information about them on our website, which we will also put in the chat. And then we just love to promote great opportunities through our newsletters and our social media. So even if the grant programs aren't coming from us, we also share out other organizations' grant opportunities through that. So if you aren't signed up for our newsletter, I would highly recommend to check that out. But more specifically, if you could go to the next slide, please. So one of our most kind of, I don't want to say popular, but one of our common grants that we will be talking about today is our small grant support. And so for here, these are where we see a lot of opportunities for these creative aging programs that are either currently happening or maybe can easily be shifted this year. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So a little bit about our small grant support. It is a rolling 30-day deadline. So our fiscal year runs from June 1st through July 30th. And so you can apply for up to 3 unique different projects per grant cycle within that year. So we're currently on this fiscal year, it'll end in July, and then we can start back up in June, and you can, other way around. It'll end in June, start in July, and you can apply for up to 3 per year. Oh my goodness. Technical difficulties over here. Okay, the maximum grant award is $2,500 per project. So you can get up to 3 of those $2,500 per year. The grant do require a 1-to-1 match, with 50% of the match could be in kind. And then we do work on reimbursed, which is deficit funding. So the funds get reimbursed after the end of your project. So just to keep that in mind. And like I said earlier, it is a rolling 30-day deadline. So as long as you just submit the application 30 days before the beginning of your project, and we just kind of also like to let our new organizations know that we do have a draft option available, and that is due 60 days before your deadline. So if you are new to our program and you want to get some deeper feedback from our program directors to kind of strengthen your grant writing, if this is a new thing for you, then we definitely welcome that. We love to provide assistance and feedback, especially since we get to see different grant reviewers, and they all have very great feedback to give to you. So how to kind of do that? Next slide, please. With these projects, we look at the eligibility. So what we can fund are project-based programming, which includes artistic and cultural workshops, festivals with an arts focus, exhibitions, and performances. Things that we can't fund through this specific program are murals and creation of new artwork, capital improvements, permanent equipment such as signage, reenactment activities with religious purpose, fundraisers, or benefits. So just to kind of keep that in mind, that maybe some of those projects that you're currently doing that are serving this creative aging initiative could possibly be eligible for this funding. slide. So the first things first, if you're not currently in our grant system, you'll just head over to our grants website, and here is where you'll submit a login request. Who we can fund. We can fund nonprofit 501c3 organizations that are in good standing with the IRS and have been incorporated with the state of Oklahoma. We can also fund schools, municipalities, city and tribal governments, and I think that's the current list. So yeah, nonprofits, schools, we love to fund it. Come on over and submit a login request, and that's where you'll just tell us a little bit more about your organization and the background, and then we can get you get you going on all of our different grant opportunities that we have. And then with that, I'll send it back to Erica.
All righty. Thanks, Heidi. I reiterate what Heidi said and what Jennifer is echoing in the comments. We really do love to help you in this beginning stage. So if you following this conversation in this Zoom, reach out to us if you have any questions about the small grant process. I am going to share the poll results so we can just take a look at who's in the room. Can you see that? I can't tell. Yes. Oh, great. Okay, so it's interesting, yes, to see a variety of folks in different fields of work. So glad to see the arts and aging and health services, and library systems is here, higher ed is here. I know we've got teaching artists in the house as well, and then varying degrees of familiarity with this work. So that's exciting, and yeah, I hope that we will take a moment. Someone interpret the scale wrong. Okay, that's okay. I'm sorry, because we are inviting you to stay a little longer. I wanted to, before we break out into some sessions where we hope to have one-on-ones perhaps, or in small groups, I want to make some space for questions about what we have shared so far, especially Annie is staying for this moment. So if you had any questions, Jennifer, did we see any in the chat come through?
Not so far, pardon me, not so far, but if you guys have questions as we move along, please feel free to enter them in the chat and we'll get to them when we can.
Okay, so anyone want to, if anyone has a question for us, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and
there's a
break
question.
in.
A question just came up, and I'm not sure if this is for Erica or Annie, so I'll let you guys wrestle over this. It says, can you talk a bit more about the cohort?
Yeah, I could speak to that. So the idea is to continuously engage a group of practitioners, both in all the fields that are interested in or is doing this work, engage them in trainings, in opportunities, keeping a dialogue going. This cohort, I expect will grow organically after these training sessions. And but in this initial phase, we're trying to gather around us the folks doing the work. So it is at this point informal, with the first invitation to join these trainings.
All right, I have another, pardon my dogs in the background there. I have another couple of questions here. How do you get involved in the training? Are there any costs? Is it in person? So that's the first question.
Okay, I can answer that as well. So there is no cost to the training, and to get involved, we will email everyone who's registered to this session, and that email will have a survey in it where we ask you about the work you're doing and what you're seeing from your vantage point. And we'll also ask you to register for a training. So that's how to get involved. I expect we will also send out communications also through our agency, like to a broader audience, not just the people who attended this session.
All right. Next question here. Is an organization that already receives support from the Arts Council able to apply for an adult education program we offer? And I assume that depends on what level they're coming in for that funding support. Who would like to take that question? Maybe Chandra, would you speak to that, or?
Actually, I was going to see if Heidi could take that one.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yes, Jennifer, you make a great point. That depends on where your organization currently lives, just because each grant program does have their eligibility criteria on what we can. We don't currently have a grant specific to creative aging initiatives that is only solely. But we do have, that's what we're kind of talking about with our small grant, is kind of like if you already have some stuff in the works, like as we're building these initiatives and doing all of these trainings, that's where we can do supporting. But I would be happy to talk, more specifically if anyone has any of those kind of organizations. It kind of just depends on your organization and how you're set up in our system with your different grant categories. But yes, I will be happy to. We will share all of our contact information at the end. So you can definitely give us a call or email and we can get to the nitty gritty of it. Thank you.
Great. And this is another question that may end up having individualized follow-up, but I'll toss it out for now. So this person is both a teaching artist and they have an arts organization. They describe themselves as wildly interested in bringing creativity to our elders, which I love that, wildly interested. Unfortunately, they cannot attend both cohorts. Do you have suggestions of which one to start with for this person?
Is that okay if I take this, Erica?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. I would say I would probably recommend, because you're an arts organization and you're affiliated with an organization, the organizational training would be really important for you to attend, because so much of creative aging is in the building of the programs and those community connections and those partnerships, and an organization, being in the position of having an organization. I think all of that material will be very interesting for you. However, the teaching artist piece of it will look to you. I love having teaching artists in organizational training, because we often, kind of call them out in their experience of being a teaching artist, because sometimes working with a teaching artist is very new to some organizations, and what that might look like. So we will definitely be a ringer for us, and we can also make sure you have all of the resources the teaching artists get as well. We have a part of our training, just so you know, is there's 6 hours of online training, and we have a portal, which is like a course that everyone gets access to for the length of the initiative, which is just inundated with resources, tools, templates, all sorts of things. So we'll make sure that both cohorts, kind of have access to all the resources.
All right, thank you. So another question here. I think maybe we'll have 1 or 2 more questions. I know we need to move to breakout rooms, and then we might be able to revisit for some other questions. Well, I'll defer to Chandra and Erica on this. Should we keep answering questions as long as we have them, or would you prefer to move into breakout rooms?
I think that I see a couple of questions I could grab really, really quick, and then maybe we move on to breakout rooms. And for those that still have questions, then we could communicate with folks through email or phone calls. But I wanted to address the question about the timeline for communications. So Robin, are you asking when we will be advertising and reaching out to you with the registration?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Soon. The trainings of course start in March, so that will be coming soon. And then to address the question about who's running the cohort, the trainings will be facilitated by Lifetime Arts. The cohort will be facilitated by myself, and with the support of our friends at Lifetime Arts, who I mentioned before are working with us on the program on our side of it. So that you would be working with me. And this next question from Sapulpa Arts, if I have a senior arts program already in place, would we migrate it to this from arts learning, or does it become a brand new program? So you are still in arts learning. This is still an arts learning program until it is formally a creative aging program. And that is an unknown future, as every year is with the state art agency. So you don't have to change anything about what you're doing now. The narrative in your grant, of course, will tell us what you're doing. Does that answer your question from Sapulpa, Sherry? Okay. So then I'm going to say that at 3:42, we had thought we'd get done a little sooner. I think that the breakout sessions are really a moment for us to have a conversation. We will be, each of us, Chandra, myself, Heidi, and Jennifer will be in 4 different rooms. Where we have a few questions we want to learn about, like I said, what you're seeing from your vantage point. And if you want to stay for that, we'll be wrapping up around 4 o'clock. So feel free to skedaddle.